Functionary by our brother Dr. Blind, Professor Emeritus. Y'all can get a hold of this book. It's off the hook. The brother did some serious research. Well, we're here with our big brother Bobby Hemmitt, live from Atlanta, here with EyeOpener Productions. And he's going to give us some on love, and this tape is a universal tape. It's for people that's in love, out of love, want love, trying to find love, don't want to be loved, love somebody they hate, but it's for everybody. So without any further ado, I'll bring you our brother Bobby Hemmitt.
I'm glad to be back in New York City, a place that definitely needs love. 8 million stories that might be about love, past loves. Either you know somebody that's in love, or you know somebody who has loved before. You know someone who fights love. You know someone that is afraid of love. You see. But ultimately, love will conquer all, not in a metaphor, but as the vortex, like Dr. Blind said, the last vortex of reality, of disillusion, of desolation, abomination, and the land in where we are going. To give you a little bit about that, when you fall in love, you are actually feeling in a glimpse of the place where we will be ending up. You are feeling the other dimension, the other realm, in which all religions have talked about the hereafter, the day that be with us, the upper room, heaven, and all of those things. We might add that we're going to talk about love and sex, because the name of this is the magical, metaphysical mysteries of love and sex. And so we're going to be dealing with both of those. But as we say, love is the last frontier. But I want to take it off of the cliche level when people say, oh, we need to love everybody, or oh, love is the key, and all of that. This word has been overused. And a lot of times the scientific analysis or the metaphysical information never comes with it. So it becomes this empty word. And we'll show tonight these mysteries of love, as well as me being in love myself.
Oh, man.
One of the second phases of what I call the cosmic love phase. And it's interesting because this just happened within the last couple of weeks. This happened damn near overnight. So I want to dedicate this particular tape to the Sister Linda Latin, also known as the mystical Babylonia. I will get into the science on her and the science on how I got hit over the head, nose wide open, beat down, but this love also being reciprocated. You know what I'm saying? On that particular level. We're not talking about a one-sided thing. And we're not talking about anything negative. We're talking about something that's divine and something that is balanced. We're talking about Mayat. So we'll deal with that particular aspect. So in order to do this, the first thing we need to do straight up is to pour the libations as we do to get the energy started.
All right.
As you know, we have the rum. This is the Don Q Gold is what we are spitting today. Something that I hope these particular entities like. You know, you can bring me that cup right there and I can pour them a little bit also.
All right.
Put it right here. That's nice. Right there. See, as you can see, that's a vesica shape, which gives us the mighty yoni that you know of as the vagina, which we should be worshiping at this particular time. You see what I'm saying? We will get into that. But then again, the Functionary said, one of the ancient religions. You know, one of the ancient religions. So let's give them that in the Yanni, which is the Vesica, the Yanni, which is fitting. And also, let's spit 4 ways and bring in the entities, the gods. By a brother named Dr. Blind. And that is a book which is a black dictionary. It's a metaphysical dictionary. It's an occult dictionary. It's a conspiracy dictionary. It's a money dictionary. It's a financial dictionary. It's a folk dictionary. It's a complete and major work by a brother by the name of Dr. Blind, Professor Emeritus of Chocolate City University, by way of Orangeburg, South Carolina, University of South Carolina, and now hails in Washington, D.C. In order to order the Functionary, you want to call Dr. Blind's cell number 240-447-6146. 240-447-6146. This is Dr. Blind. This is the prototype copy. It is off the hook. This is also a picture of Dr. Blind.
Everybody get this book.
In the back of the book.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, and it parallels my career as I was dealing with certain things that I was dealing with over the last couple of years. Dr. Blind has been compiling this particular Functionary, which is the ultimate in esoteric and unknown terminology, and it's just unbelievable, and you won't be able to put it down. Going right along, we have a lot to cover. One of the books that we want you to get is a book called Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Vaughan Lee. Do you have that book?
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, but wherever.
It'll take me forever. I got it. Too.
Yeah. Llewellyn Vaughan Lee, Love is a Fire. Another book is the Science of Love. What's that? The Science of Love. Science of Love by Dr. John Baines. Right. We'll be giving you several books that you need to deal with. We'll give you tantric books also that you need to deal with. That you also need to deal with also. To start off with this, we must understand that what we're talking about here is more of a cosmic force. It can't be explained. Now, it was said in a college class I had one year, a black guy by the name of Dr. Latta Thomas used to teach at Benedict College, and he was a preacher. If there's anything profound that the preachers ever said, this is one that was the most profound thing, where he had mentioned that he had some friends, and he had some friends that was talking about, well, you know, a lot of things that they don't believe in, a lot of things that's not scientific, things that they can't see, things that they can't feel. And so they was getting on him about the concept of spirituality and spirit. And in order for him to win the argument, he said, well, how do you explain love? What is this thing? And he won the argument because both of the guys who were arguing with him had been in love before. And they knew right then and there that he was talking about something that you couldn't feel, something, well, let's put it, something that you couldn't touch. I want to put it that way because you damn sure feel it. But something you couldn't see, some invisible force You see, that is the basis of spirituality. In that particular case, you don't need the deity that you worship as the litmus test of whether you are in something spiritual. When you see Christ, or quote unquote, the picture of the Jesus Christ, and you see the heart chakra, and you see him holding this heart, the only thing there is the heart. The man or the person is just a figure or an image to give to you so that you can better understand it, but too often we get lost in the figure and the male image other than what is this thing truly talking about? And how does it represent me if you are a woman and you got this male image? Well, he has the heart, and he's holding the heart. It is not that white Jesus Christ you see, definitely. It is the heart, which transcends the figure that you see, which is a later figure, because we can go back to ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, where the basis of the judgment scene in Egypt is the weighing of the heart. So we're still talking about the heart chakra, the mysteries of Osiris, the mysteries of Dionysus, the mysteries of Bacchus, the mysteries of Phanes, the mysteries of Shiva. And we'll go into some of that particular aspects as we go on. But for the first time in history, 2,000 years ago, which no matter how great the Christians claim, Jesus is loved. Jesus comes as a debauchery because Jesus comes in the motif of the Roman government, devoid of the penis, the phallus. And that is the difference between the ancient Christ, Osiris, Osar, Bacchus, Phanes, Dionysus, Shiva. And these gods came with the phallus, the god Mem. And the debauchery is the phallus not being there means that you cannot identify it with your own self, both male and female, because the male can say, well, hell, I got a vagina, so I can identify with that penis. You see? But you can't identify with it in your own human experience, and yet love is where this particular, the human body and the human experiences is the origin of where this love is going to actually seed and grow and fester and manifest. You see what I'm saying? So you got the heart, but you don't have the penis. Now there's different levels, but we understand the heart being this divine aspect, and it can be separated from sex. But you cannot omit the phallus, the vagina, the vesicle, the lingam, and the yoni. So the best one kept intact would be the mysteries of Shiva. The mysteries of Shiva and Pravati, or Shiva and Shakti in India, because you get the lessons of the phallus, which is the lingam, and the vagina, which is the yoni. So there's several books. Ecstasy Through Tantra by Dr. John Mumford. Tantra, The Cult of the Feminine by Andre van Lijsbeth. Sexual Alchemy, Donald Tyson. Tantra, The Way of Action by Francis King. Putting this thing back to the human level, when Dr. Ben used to say that the latter gods, the Hebrew, Judeo, Christian, and Islamic gods, become unattached or detached from man, unapproachable. You see, unapproachable. So therefore, this mystical aspect of love is lost because it is not manifested on the physical on one particular aspect, and it's not connected to us. So this particular love that we give to Jesus Christ is unapproachable. Whereas this love is not talking about some man out in space, some spook god. It's talking about the heart chakra. And that's what we'll be dealing with also. So this particular person becomes without the phallus. It comes without the divine aspect of the male organ, since we're talking about this male Christ. Right. But we can't separate this thing here because we can't separate this from the female aspect, because we also know that the female aspect is also has a lot to do with the Virgin Mary, which is nothing but the ultimate Osset or Isis mysteries. The whole book, Isis in the Greco-Roman World. Here's a new book that will explain a lot of that. It's called Isis Magic, by this word, Isidora Forrest. Isidora Forrest. Cultivating the relationship of the goddess of 10,000 names. Ultimately, a lot of our female mistress of Sophia, the female mistress of Mary, the female mistress of the Holy Shekinah in the Kabbalistic mysteries, is coming from the Osset mysteries, which her temple, the temple of Philae, ironically was the last temple to close in Kemet. Wow. And after it closed, Europe went into a dark age. But before it closed, they took 100 years to translate from Metanetta into Coptic, Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, Islam, as far as Arabic. They translated the Metanetta into the existing languages of the latter days before that temple of Isis closed. So it's documented in groups of studies that came out in the early 1990s. Symposium called the Alexandria Symposiums, where they came together and they brought out all this stuff that the Europeans was holding on to for years, more and more of these conferences and stuff that came out of the Library of Alexandria. And as a result, they came out with these particular books. And in one of those books, they go into how all of this stuff was translated into Metanetta. And that's how we get a lot of the mysteries that we have now. So, despite what people think, the people didn't come in and steal anything. How can you steal something from a people and you don't know how to read their language? Right. That means that those people had to systematically and on purpose translate this stuff from Metanetta. You see, so moving right along, we have a lot to cover. Okay. As we go on, let's deal with the heart chakra. The heart chakra is not only a chakra, but it is also a subtle organ in the body. Here's a book called Theosophia by Arthur Verse Lewis. This is what the Pope and all of them worship. This is the true meaning behind the papacy. If you look on the back of the book, you will see a little heart with an eye in the middle.
I got it.
See it?
Yeah.
The heart with the eye in the middle. You see? Now,
What's that significant of?
it's the heart chakra, but it's also the all-seeing eye.
Right.
So we're also talking about consciousness. Now, yesterday, I did a lecture yesterday, and in the lecture, I explained in this particular book, this is a book called Kundalini Evolutionary and Evolution and Enlightenment, edited by John White. By John White. And I showed this particular diagram of how consciousness rises up from the base, from the genital area, the navel area, and the short and the heart area. You don't even become conscious until you hit the heart chakra. You see. So it is, you can see why the eye, and let's draw this out. You know, shoot. Me being an artist, at least I can do is draw it out. You know. And draw it out at least. And where it has the eye, I'll put the eye of Heru in it for the people. But here's the heart. This is the heart, as it says, it shows here, and there's an eye in the middle. You see. So this diagram here, this is where the consciousness flows. So in so many words, you don't even become conscious until it hits the heart chakra. That's why most people, consciousness is down here in the genital area, which is called the animal car. There's the animal car, that is the inferior car, and then there's the divine car, which starts from the heart chakra on up into the third eye, the pineal gland, and pituitary gland, the hypothalamus region of the brain. So this is called the inferior car. This is called, this is called the animal car. Then the inferior car that would reach from the middle of the genitals into the navel. And that's where most people are. And then what is called the divine car. The divine car is when you come into consciousness like a few people on the planet, but not the masses. The inferior car is where most people are, or the animal car. And the animal car is ruled by nerves, hunger, lust, greed, and raw, the raw urges. You see. And the inferior car is called automaton, or automation. So you can have highly educated people, they are automated by society, they're just running on what was taught to them in the context of their experiences down here, and what is provided for them based on what part of the civilization they are in. So whatever your civilization is, and whatever is provided for you in your particular civilization, in your customs, in your culture, and whatever, is where they are in automation or automaton. But on one particular hand, what this also means is they don't go beyond what is given to them based on their experiences, their culture, or their civilization, or their country. So they don't have the divine vision to see beyond their regular, routine, mundane function of life. You see what I'm saying? This is also explained in a book, The Opening of the Way. The Opening of the Way by Isha Schwaller de Lubitz. The Opening of the Way by Isha Schwaller de Lubitz. This is the older model from the early 90s. There's, as far as the cover, there's another cover on it, a blue cover with the Temple of Karnak on it, light blue cover, with columns from the Temple of Karnak. This is the older cover. But they go into this the whole aspect of the divine car, the inferior car, and the animal car. In the animal car. And most humans operate from those particular aspects. So we're talking about the heart chakra being none other than a function of consciousness. That's what that eye is. And this starts the consciousness. Now this is interesting because when we look at a person falling in love, for a brief period of time, whether they use the ego, whether they play games, or whether they let it annihilate them, the annihilation is the object, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. Either way, they must admit, whether they fight it or not, that they are not the same as they were before they fell in love. It is something that alters and changes a person. And it is the driving force that will get a person to do something that they normally wouldn't do. And you know it's a form of consciousness because it usually happens when you don't plan on it. You know what I'm saying? So some people say, I choose to be with this person because I want to fall in love with this person. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to fall in love with that person. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it could be some person that you might not even like that you fall in love with. You see what I'm saying? That you fall in love with. You know? It might be some person that you don't even like. You've heard people say, I love you, but I don't like you. That means what we're talking about here is, we're talking about a force that is outside of your regular function, your regular thoughts, in your regular schemes, your regular plans, and your regular ideology and idiosyncrasies. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is a good chance now to ask me some of those particular questions of love.
All right, everybody.
To get into the flow of this.
One moment, and we'll be back with those questions.
The goddess of love, the goddess S.E.X. You see? The goddess of love. And she communicates, the goddess Hemmitt. She communicates with people. So, if you want one of these, you send me, because we've been doing it, because what we've done now, I know I'm going to put my little sales pitch up in there, but we can do this.
Straight up.
Fuck that.
Man. People need that shit.
Because, like I said, because like Barbara Shanga said, our African scholars are dying in obscurity being broke. Now, you can help me out, because I never begged for no damn money in 12 years, but now you need to help me out. Now, in order to do this, we put it on the same museum paper. So it's not going to be this color Xerox, this paper thin. It's going to be, I had to go find some printers down in Atlanta that will print this thing. So now, the going price is $20 a copy, which I don't mind asking the people because niggas spend money on anything they want to spend money on. See what I'm saying? Right. So it's $20 a copy, and you can get the set. Either the brother, because since we're doing love, you get the brother for the energy, which also has dreadlocks. And you get the sister. Now, don't miss out on it, because we got people that's calling and ordering. It's slow now, but it's getting ready to pick up, because everybody who sees this, they're smitten by it. So you can call. I'm begging. I'm gonna be like a crack man. Now I'm gonna be like a crackhead. Every time you see me, you can turn the other way, because I worked for 12 years and didn't ask for shit. Now, goddamn it, I'm coming with my hand out. So when you see me, you better walk the other way, because I'm begging. Because I'm not going to end up in the poorhouse. And I did all this magical work. Now, you can get the, but for those people who don't want to send, because you can also just send me some money for the love fund.
And we'll do that.
Yeah. But if you want to buy something, you send $20. They're $20 each. Because what I had to do now is to go get it produced, because the regular Xerox didn't come out that well. It didn't come out well. So in order to get it produced, I had to go to some printers to print it. And so you're getting the actual reproduction. Of what comes out of the museums. I want to put that there. And this is the goddess of love. And the goddess of love. All right. Isis, Urzuli, Ishtar, Inanna, Astarte, Venus, and Aphrodite, the goddess of love. We want to deal with that.
Who was that one in that corner over there?
Which one?
That one right up there.
What was that?
That's not T.
I think that's Queen T. No, it's not. No, it's not T. It's can't think of her name right now. You had it.
I had it. I
can't think of her name right now. It slips me. It's not T, but it's not close from that era.
She's here with us.
Yeah, she's here. Yeah, she's not close from that era, but some people would know, and they will name it when they get the actual tape. Right. So at this particular time, what we want to do is we want to get the questions down.
Right. Like I said earlier, most of the questions was given by women, and of course we're gonna go with first question is it possible for two people who love each other to absorb the other person's energy, negative energy, who they're with, like the other person's shortcomings, or could it cancel it out? And that goes to what people's perceptions of love is. I think we should. Well, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and ask that question, because it's not in any order or anything. It's just thrown out, man. So, is it possible for two people who love each other to absorb the other person's negative?
Okay. I don't think we need to be confused. Love is above negative energy.
That's right.
And it's also above the physical energy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The physical energy. Love is above that, so you must be clear on it and ask yourself, are both people reciprocating? It's a reciprocity question here. Right. And you must ask yourself to define what love truly is, and only you can define that in your own heart. And the best way to define that in your own heart is this. The best example is no different than a mother or a parent does with a child. The love is not based on what that person does for you. It just is. Right. You don't, if you got a child 8 years old, the child doesn't work, so that destroys that theory that the woman is now dealing with, saying, I need a man with money. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You're capable of loving that child, although that child is totally dependent on you. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't work. It doesn't even have to produce talents, because some people can say, I love you because my child has some type of talent. My child gives me back something of enjoyment. No, this child can be retarded and you can still love it. That's love because it just is. Look for the same things in your mate. That means that the person can have all kind of idiosyncrasies, but you know you love it. Now, not necessarily saying you need to accept certain pathologies that can also be detrimental to you. But I'm trying to give you a way to monitor what love is. You see, European society and the Western man tells you that I love a Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson. Great examples for how they make me feel. There's a difference than how you feel about a person. You see, black people, we feel. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Europeans, because a lot of Europeans have damaged heart chakras, non-developed heart chakras. Some of this is based on culture. A lot of this is also based on genetics. You see. As a result, they produce a culture that is not based and is rooted based on the heart chakra. So the love is like, I like my car. Because my car makes me feel good. It makes me feel it's a status of my success. When that car starts to rusty out, starts to rot, fall apart, or it can just be a style that is no longer desirable, then it might make you feel something else. It might make you feel depressed.
So it's not, so you're saying there's a difference, it's not how you feel about somebody as opposed to how that person makes you feel.
It's love is based on how you feel about a person, regardless
of how they make you feel.
feel. Okay. The false love is you're taking into account only how that person makes you feel. When you truly get into this particular love, you'll even fall in love with a person's flaws. Now, I know this because I spent 7 years with a girl or a woman 11 years younger than I was. We got together, I was 31 and she was 20. And she had no flaws. Beautiful. Nice, beautiful breasts. Nice complexion. No flaws on the body. And I was with her for 7 years and was content. And didn't necessarily mean I didn't love her, but I saw the dichotomy, or I saw the comparison whenever she did depart and we went our separate ways. That was an agreement. We didn't break up. It was spiritually time for her to go. And my age catapulted me into the 40s because I was like 38, 30, going on 39 at the time. So the range of women that I would deal with would be in their 40s and even in their 50s, 50 plus. And as a result, I've had two contrasts of youth within a couple of years, and I could tell the difference. I could tell the comparison. And to whereas I was smitten by the sisters that had the age on them. As a matter of fact, that's what turned me on the most. Now, although I'm using something physical, but I'm trying to say here is love can do the same thing, where you can actually become smitten, admiration, or a love for just the flaws. Because you're dealing with the essence that is hovering over. That's what this stuff, we'll go into some of this is about. And that's what love does. So on one way, we're talking about something above the negative energy what the sister was actually talking about. what the sisters are actually talking about. So in so many words, again, the real origin of that is the same way you look at a child. It's how you feel about somebody other than how they make you feel. Now, we know this for a fact with white folks in the office. You come and in the morning time, you say, hi, how you doing? They say, how you doing? And you go on about your business. You come back a few minutes, you might see that person again, and you might go, as a black person, how you doing? We greet them every time. And they're looking at you like you crazy. Because, no, we've already done that. They got certain protocols. And they want to know, what the fuck is this black person? Every 5 minutes, he got to say something to me. It's just that black people, we go by, we feel. So by feeling, we engage in contact. That's why black people might not necessarily like you, not because of your political affiliation, you see what I'm saying, or any type of thing that you do, your worldview. They might not like you just because you don't make them feel a certain way. No, excuse me, they can't feel you. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because the political thing, you can make a person feel a certain way based on your politics. Black people and indigenous people can go, oh, I ain't feeling you. And it doesn't have anything to do with your political expression, your style, or anything. You know what I'm saying? You can have on a nice suit. You can even be a person that tries to act nice. And they go, oh, I don't know, something ain't right about them. I ain't feeling them. You see what I'm saying? Well, this is also the response of the love. Because what are we really talking about here? Ultimately, we'll be getting into this throughout the whole lecture, is we're talking about the soul. And love is nothing but the expression of when the soul starts to wake up. And when the soul wakes up, it responds. That's what enlightenment is. So you can go with that.
All right, now we got one from a brother, and you could tell us a brother because he says, could you tell us the significance of each chakra? And what do we learn at each chakra?
Okay.
What do we need to learn to move on, and specifically the heart chakra?
Okay.
Tell us about all the chakras. And what do we learn at each chakra?
Well, that's why it was good that I went with this diagram, because basically it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dots within this circle. This is a good one now. This book here, I recommend this book. This is on page 425 of Kundalini, Evolution and Enlightenment by Dr. John White, edited by John White. And in here, you learn certain things.
Are those the elements also, the 4 elements?
Yes. Up top, yes.
All right. Now, are they elements for each chakra, or the elements?
That's this. I'm quite sure that if it might be in the head, after you have a uniting or the energy getting to a certain level, it polarizes the 4 elements. So the four elements are produced after a certain illumination of energies. You see what I'm saying? Now, obviously the genitals are the raw. I talked about this on the automaton aspect, so I've pretty much answered the question. This is the root chakra, which is desire, raw lust. It can be greed. It can be things on how you feel, but you can't really direct it and stuff until you start going up to each level. Then you become more in charge of the forces that is down in the root chakra. So it's more important to think about the heart chakra, because this is the first time that these particular elements that is dormant in the root chakra become active. And that's when you start feeling certain things. And that's why everybody's capable of love, even the people on the lowest level. You see what I'm saying? Now, if the heart chakra was up here, we'd be in trouble. But thank God it's merciful. It's in the middle, so you don't have but a short way to go. And that's why we can fall in love haphazardly. You see what I'm saying, on a particular level. And then, as you know, this is the gateway that starts the enlightenment. And the enlightenment is what you deal with it. Now, what's the difference between love from an enlightened man than love from the average human? The average human is basically they basically have a simulation of this energy that rises to the particular heart chakra. But because they don't have the divine mind, what happens here is this can be very emotional. It can be set in several games we play. It can be political, and it can be things for a very short time. It's only when you define this in its rightful form that it can move on to the head. When you don't define this when it rises to this particular level, what will happen is it's only a doorway that is open for a certain period of time. And after that certain period of time, if you don't define it, this is when it shuts down and you end up getting divorced. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Now, what is the gestation of that time? Who knows? It depends on the person. It depends on the energy. It depends on whether it was a real subtle energy or whether you were in love at all. But when you define it by surrendering to it, which is what happens in the book, Llewellyn Vaughan Lee book. He said you have to surrender to this. It's only when you surrender to this that it can go on to the head. Now, me being a master myself, I am so glad to be sitting in front of you as an enlightened person, which I was humble for years, so I can earn the right after 12, 13 years to talk about this, but I'm only talking about it from my own experience. And my experience was the first time I did this and got to this particular level. Now, I was in love several times, but the time that I'm going to start talking about being in love will be from the period of 1989 up until now. The first time I was in love with a sister named Kimberly, I fought it for a minute, but I succumbed to it, I guess that's the word. And it ended up being a meaningful relationship where we learned a lot about knowledge itself and mutual respect. And to this day, we are best friends. The second time I fell in love with Ginger, again, it was for knowledge purposes. It was for mutual respect. But because I was repeating it from the second time, I would often say, well, to love a person is not never having to say you love them. This is the way I was feeling, and in so many words, I was comfortable with her. But after she left, and the third time this thing hits, you see, I knew that it had to be something more than just being comfortable. I knew at this particular time I had to deal with my situation because I was an enlightened man, and I had to get from a certain level to go on. I said, now what is this I'm feeling? What is this I'm feeling at this particular time in my enlightenment, and what am I going to do about it? But what I did about it that time was, in order to get from here to here, I neutralized it in the particular aspect is I didn't play no games. I didn't fight it. I surrendered myself to it. And as a result, it went here. But it was only a doorway and an opening for the heart chakra to go above the normal aspect of love. So after the energy petered out, or what they call a karma, burning up, because this fire comes up and it burns it up after a while, I went to another level, and I was able to take that love and give it to who I wanted to give it to. And after that, I went through 11 sisters, and I could give them a portion of the love. It is only now, because having gone through this heart chakra, this bust me in the head recently, within the last 2 weeks, is on a whole nother level. It's even higher than the one that ended up when I went past the heart chakra. Now this one, what's the difference between the one where you went past the heart chakra before? That one, it was only for me to recognize that what I was actually feeling was not necessarily the person that was actually the catalyst, but it was actually my own soul that I was feeling. So this was energy that was for me to recognize my own soul. It was my own soul waking up, like this eye opening within the heart. You get it?
Got it. And on that note, we'll take a small break, and we'll be right back.
You got to change tape? How many hours was that already? Huh? Hour and a half?
All right.
I'm on?
You on, bro.
I'm here?
You here.
All right. So, the last time I was in love, which was recently, it was to get to know my own soul. That's why it's your heart chakra. And it was to get to know my own soul. And the energy down here wax and wanes. So there's windows of opportunities. So, and we're talking about high advanced cosmic love. So I was getting to know my own soul, and I recognized that. And how did I do it? By annihilating myself. Well, how do you annihilate yourself? You annihilate yourself, as I see, by identifying with the heart chakra other than identifying with the situation out here. We'll go into that in a few minutes on the aspect of jealousy. So to identify with the heart chakra, I annihilated myself by going to the next level without paying attention to the situation that I found myself in and focusing on my own heart chakra. Now, once it entered into the head, which is this last part, has a lot to do with where I find myself now. But let me go back. We'll deal with that, where I find myself now. And that is that the energy now has come back, hit me in the head again, the Cupid's arrow. But now, because I am experienced in this and have gone through the initiations, I don't have to go back. As a result, I can take this energy and direct this particular energy in what it's supposed to be, because there's no idiosyncrasies. There's no identifying with Bobby Hemmitt. Bobby Hemmitt has been annihilated the last go around. So now, it's in the head, and Bobby Hemmitt is annihilated, and now I can deal with the pure love. The aspect about this now is that this particular form of love does not dissipate. It's the pot at the end of the rainbow. It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It is the Holy Grail. Now, what is the difference? What is the difference? It does not dissipate because the simple fact is, I I am identifying with a cosmic aspect of my own half, my own self. Everybody down here has a double, a twin soul that you incarnated with. You see, that you incarnated with. Right. And everybody down here has one. The one that I am with now is the twin soul. So now, and only way I could get to that particular level to even receive it or identify with it or recognize it is I had to not identify with Bobby Hemmitt, go to no self, identify with the soul chakra, so that when this twin soul comes, it would be one and not Bobby Hemmitt plus this other person. So I had to neutralize that lower self. Now take for instance, to give you an example, I'll use that in the example in a few minutes, some other things we're going to deal with. So give me another question.
Okay, all right, it's another one from a sister now.
Yeah.
It says, why do some people who fall out of love, who don't love the person anymore, still find themselves attached to the person, even though they know the other person is toxic to them? Like, you know,
exactly.
Going to bed with them again, rekilling all those people.
Exactly.
Why does that happen?
Well, first of all, they must understand that the person that they are with, when they first initially met that person only acts as a catalyst for you to get to know your own soul. The love is within yourself. Wow. So now, everything down here has certain catalysts, certain images, certain archetypes that will open you up or awaken you for a short period of time so that you can get to know your soul, yourself. That's called enlightenment. Now, if the person does not learn that what has happened to them is their own soul and the love is coming from within, then they will still identify with the person who was only a catalyst from the beginning, but they still think that that person's character, that person's, whether his idiosyncrasies or that particular person has something to do with the love that's inside of them, and they are wrong. So when they come back, the love that's inside of them has nothing to do with the person once the person is the initial catalyst. So as a result, what happens is they might meet that person a year or two down the road, a couple of years, and everything down there has symbols and images that will make you remember certain aspects of your life. If that person sees this person down here, or sees that particular person a couple of years later, what will happen is that image might catapult them back into a certain feeling or a certain memory that they had. And if that person doesn't understand that that memory is only reminding you of your own heart chakra and the love from within, if they don't understand that, they will think that they're back in love with that person. And although that's wrong, because that person is toxic and is a detriment to them, and that person has nothing to do with what they're feeling, but because they don't have the knowledge of it, they keep thinking that that person is the actual feeling that they're feeling. Now take, for instance, there's a movie called Adaptation with Nicolas Cage and Meryl Streep. Now in that particular movie, Nicolas Cage is talking to his brother. And he said, you remember you was in high school, you was in love with this girl? He said, oh yeah, I was really in love with this girl. And he said, well, I walked up on this girl, and this girl was talking junk about you. And teasing you behind your back. And the guy said, I knew it. He said, well, why you didn't say anything? He said, that was her problem, not mine. I was the one in love. And he understood at that particular time that the love had nothing to do with her actions. It had something to do with him. And the love was in him, and he was not going to let her insecurities and her idiosyncrasies, you see what I'm saying, destroy the love that was in him because she's immature. He understood that how she made him feel was an image that was beyond her. It was actually coming from a higher level. And he was getting the benefit of that higher level. You understand what I'm saying? Because his soul was responding. So he said, however she felt about him, that was her problem. Had nothing to do with him. And that's a profound statement. It was one of the most profound things in the movie. You see what I'm saying? Well, that's what's going on at this particular time. The sister that's talking about that person being toxic, she's still didn't realize, that she doesn't know that in actuality that person, the reaction that that person did to make your heart chakra open was gone a long time ago. And this time it has nothing to do. Although you can meet that person and these old feelings can come back, these old feelings were inside of you all the time and never was him. You see, so that's how that particular aspect goes.
That's deep, man. Okay, this is a good one here, man. A lot of people dealing with this. How do you tame or deal with the green-eyed monster jealousy? Is it in the mind or is it in the heart?
Jealousy.
That's two questions. First, how do you tame or deal with it? And then
okay, well, in order to answer the tame one about how do you tame, we have to get to the source. Okay. Jealousy is in the mind.
Oh, okay.
Jealousy is all of your past idiosyncrasies, shortcomings, and all of your psychosis based on some trauma, based on some rearing, based on some event that happened in your life to make you incomplete. And as a result, your ego has to inflate itself just to protect you. And as a result, later on what happens is because of some insecurities and incompletion, you become jealous. Now, how do you become jealous? The jealousy becomes because in this particular thing where you have your genitals to your head, this is energy and the flow of energy in the Kundalini. Right. The one that's on the front of the book. Right. Is that when the Kundalini energy or these primal energies start to rise, not only does the good stuff open up, but all the bad stuff start to rise also. Okay. So if you have a person that you fall in love with that make you're very interested in, that make you, this energy can be very emotional, and it gives you this great response. Also, is also waking up those pathologies, those incompletions, those insecurities also in you. So not only does the bad stuff rise, good stuff rise up, but the bad stuff rises up also. So they say that a jealous person is a mentally deranged person that leads a normal life. That's a person who's not been able to get over its own pathologies and problems, traumas, and it registers as jealousy, and they have thinking it has something to do with the situation they're in. No, it's you and your trauma. You see what I'm saying?
And if a person is with a jealous person, what about if the person is not jealous, but their partner is jealous?
It's the same.
That person, you need to leave that person.
You need that. Ultimately, the person has to deal with his idiosyncrasies. Jealousy is not a political act or something you can take off. Right. It's only the manifestation of a person's shortcomings.
So can a jealous person love a person?
Yes, a jealous person can love a person. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, a jealous person can love a person. But on the other hand, a jealous person also, because of the jealousy, they might think they are in love with that person, but might not necessarily be in love with that person. It can go either way.
Right, just depending on them.
It just depends, exactly. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because they can do it, because we know that jealousy doesn't necessarily have to do with love. You can be jealous of many things in life and not have to happen to be in love. You understand what I'm saying? So, you can be jealous of several people that you're not in love with. So, but that person can easily misconstrue a person that they're in a relationship with as being loved because they're jealous of them. Right. And they don't understand that this is their own shortcomings. You see them, this their own shortcomings. In that book, Dr. John Bain's book, Jealousy is a mentally deranged person who leads a normal life, in the book, The Science of Love. So,
addicted to the madness.
Exactly. And it will come out not necessarily in the aspect of love, but if you notice one thing about it, if that person is jealous, and you deal with that person even when you are no longer in love, or no longer have a relationship, their same mannerisms, pathologies, and the way they deal with you socially will always come up a form of jealousy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's just a form of jealousy. So how do you deal with the green-eyed monster? It's based on the individual. You yourself, if you are not the jealous type, you cannot make that other person stop feeling, eliminate the jealousy from their life. That person has to deal with some inner work. And that is the only way that it can happen.
All right.
You see, yeah.
All right. Time too. All right.